Hello, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party, Open Topic Night, Wasteful Wednesday. We talk about social issues like our right to know, freedom of speech. We have an example right now of a video that was taken about 5 years ago of a John Kerry speech, actually longer than that, where John Kerry was asked a question. Let's hear this out.
Were you a member of Skull and Bones in college with Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
Well, that's all right. Let me answer his question.
Excuse me, what are you running? Whoa. Is anybody watching me?
Okay, what is happening right there is a person is openly asking a question. Police are grabbing him and holding him and detaining him. And you know that when you pull your arm back from a police officer, guys, that you are actually resisting arrest and obstructing justice? They can actually charge you with a crime by simply pulling your arm back when they grab your arm. I'm not kidding either. That's exactly how messed up our criminal justice system is and how bad off our nation is. Now watch what happens. This is 1 minute later. I'm going to show you where this guy is. Okay, I can't watch any more of this. What do you guys think? What's your take on this? We've got 2 viewers on our tiny chat. Go ahead, what's your take? He's simply asking a question if John Kerry is in the Skull and Bones.
If they did that for him asking...
Go ahead, Carl. I'm listening. Okay. Well, apparently you got locked up. What I saw was a person being denied his freedom of speech. What I saw was a person that was unable to participate in what I think was his right to ask a question. To be pulled down, tased, and hauled away, and then literally charged with a crime simply for asking a question, you gotta wonder, what was the question? And he simply asked, was this some sort of a connection to Skull and Bones when you were at Yale? Blah, blah, blah. Are you a member of Skull and Bones? That's a simple question. I'm sure he would have answered it, except they detained him from answering. I don't even know if John Kerry would answer it, actually. So, Sarah, I accidentally pulled off the show, so I'm going to go back on it over there for some reason. That was BS, exactly. And I'm responding to My Dogs Don't Cry. Thanks for coming in. I am not going to take your guff when you guys are criticizing one of my viewers who's simply eating a double cheeseburger, which is one of 4 he has every day because that's all he can afford to eat on his fixed income of $700 a month in Social Security disability. So don't make fun of somebody. He's a U.S. citizen. Show him some respect, okay? And I tell you, this guy needs a place to live like yesterday. Why this country can't provide a small kitchenette motel room for you, Ed, is absolutely insane. What's going on in our country that we can't seem to solve some of the most important problems facing our nation? Obama never even mentioned the homeless problem once in the debates with Mitt Romney. Not once did the homeless problem come up, and it's been bad. There have been virtual 3.6 million people on the street now. That's double what it was under Bush. Now, these are social issues that I think we need to address at all times, not just on Wednesday's Open Topic Night. But the amount of money that we're currently putting out, and a lot of it's going to social issues. Half the budget, practically, in America is going to solve the healthcare social service issue, and it's probably closer to $700 or $800 billion right now. Additionally, we got a military budget that's close to $800 billion. It should be around $662, but it's $800 billion for our nation to guard itself from some unknown enemy. I don't know where we're going with this. We're wasting tons and tons of money. Our nation is spending out of control, and we are weakened as a nation because of it. Our nation no longer has the economic freedom it once had. The 3-star rating has been dropped to 2-star, and Moody's predicted this would happen. And now there's talk of maybe even dropping to 1 star. So what does Obama do? He attacks the messenger. He launches a lawsuit and investigation into Moody's, the very agency that dropped our credit rating. Oh yeah, this is a guy who doesn't want to deal with the core problems of our society, like jobs and housing. He just wants to attack the messenger and then go around on Jay Leno and pretend like he's not watching us. He says on Jay Leno last night, well, we're not watching domestic phone calls. This is the kind of thing he lies about. When the head of the NSA openly admitted to doing this last week, Obama comes on Leno and says, oh, well, we're not watching domestic phone calls or transmissions. That's just a total lie. So you stand back as an American citizen and go, wow, no one's asking any questions in the Democratic Party. Nobody's asking any questions in the Republican Party. And this is something that goes on and on. And we all sit here with our inert voices wondering, well, something should be done about it. Kind of like Rodney, who comes in our show all the time and was this pathetic laugh of his, which is so fake it's ridiculous. He claims it's some speech defect. You're right. He sounds like the average Nimrod in America who's afraid of his own shadow. He wouldn't stand up in front of a group and ask John Kerry, are you a member of the Skull and Bones Society? He wouldn't take a chance like that. He certainly wouldn't open his voice publicly. And, I don't blame Rodney, really, for being like that. I actually see him as a kind of an average guy. Ironically, I know he doesn't see himself as average because he's probably stalking us and being paid to do it. But the reality is, many people don't want to participate in an open assembly, openly, freely say something. So what do those people do? They come here. They participate in an online revolution of sorts. And that's something that I think we all can do. We can use the power of the internet to send messages, tweet about @third party. We can talk about the message of stopping the incredible pollution in the world. Maybe that's an important issue to you. Maybe you want to legalize marijuana. We want to legalize marijuana. That's a very key issue in the upcoming election because that could help us win. 57% of the population supports legalization. If we go with that theme, we could beat both parties in every election. So we're going to be moving in that direction, but I want you to talk about us. I need you to talk about this online revolution that's going on. You don't need to have a permit to assemble in your home on your computer screen watching me talk. You can just do it. It's real simple. And you can bulletin board, even at your local university, we've got flyers you can put out and print up. Our stances on social policies are pretty middle of the road, except for maybe our capital punishment stance. We support pro-choice. We support the idea of a woman's right to choose, but I personally don't think it's right to have abortions. I would like to limit those, so I support a first trimester law that limits abortions to just the first trimester when the baby's about this big. Now, you were all little babies at one time. Remember when you were a little baby, Carl? I think you're frozen. I'm going to take you out of the broadcast. Do you remember when you were a little baby, Ed? He'll answer that in about a half an hour. Well, we were all little baby fetuses at one point, and I don't like the idea that 44 million baby fetuses have been taken out, killed, in all these years since Roe v. Wade passed. I think some of them could have been doctors and scientists and people of great potential. Hell, even I could have been of great potential had I been given an education like Obama was by the government. If I had been born black, I would have been perhaps had 2 PhDs under my belt and moving on in some other particular area. But because I'm white, I didn't get any affirmative action scholarship funds, and I was left to rot out there in La La Land, LA, California. But here I am, running for president again, because the idea of intelligence reaching the pinnacle of American government is very real. I'm not in any way ashamed of the fact that I pulled out of college when they were trying to indoctrinate me into the communist way of thinking. You see, at UCLA, they preach Marxism in every political science department. It's a known fact that they're Marxists, most of them. And they have the right to promote Marxism around the campus and around the university system. No one stops them. This is, in my opinion, non-objective teaching, and it's what I had to flee from. But I'm here to prevent this country from spilling into an outrageous anarchic situation, or perhaps moving more and more towards the ridiculous leftist move that Obama's making, nationalizing the banking industry and doing all kinds of things. Yeah, Rutgers is another Marxist organization, Jim Beam. Ironically, I had an argument, a key argument that I pulled out of one of the Cal State Long Beach schools that I went to. I pulled out because of a major argument I had with a professor who was a Marxist from Rutgers. And he actually said that he was...
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Carl, thank you. He actually said he said that East Germany was the best country in the world. This is far before the wall falling down and East Germany disappearing and becoming fused with Germany. He actually believed that East Germany was the greatest nation in the world. And I said, you are clearly a Marxist and you're using this platform to teach us poli-sci. His subject was public policy. So I called him on it. I went to the department head and I said, look, you can't just use this classroom to promote Marxism. And the department head said, oh, yes, he can. He can do whatever he wants. That's the reality we're living with. The academic, socialist, Marxist organizations have now embedded themselves in the White House. Obama came from Columbia University, or supposedly, no one, in fact, remembers Barack Obama at Columbia. Not one single person interviewed out of 435 people that graduated in his supposed graduate class remembered Barack Obama. But anyway, Columbia is the center of the socialist concept of Cloward Pivens, which is a concept promoted during the 40s and 50s. Actually, I believe it was in the 50s it was developed. Saul Alinsky was a big supporter of that, and this guy was a Marxist, radical Marxist, who believed that if the Democrats or the socialist Democrats kept offering people freebies, even illegal aliens, freebies and all this food stamp money and all the Social Security and anything they want, come on into America, they would give them the vote, and gradually they'd have enough votes to beat everybody simply by offering all kinds of free money and benefits. Now, I believe in benefits for people like Carl and people like Ed, the guy sitting next to me right now. They get support from the government. Disability pay, Social Security disability. They get the money to stay alive, to feed their families, or in Edward's case, to feed himself, and he doesn't have enough money to virtually get in a motel room for more than 2 or 3 days a month. Well, that's not helping Edward, because right now, the socialist plan of Barack Obama is helping illegals, so that Edward doesn't have enough money for Section 8 housing allocated to him. The illegals are getting all the money. So the socialist apparatus that was put out back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s in Columbia University that's now implemented now in the White House is not helping American citizens. It's helping illegal aliens more than we are getting help. If you come to this country and want a guaranteed loan, they'll give you $10,000 if you're from Nigeria. Right now, you as an American citizen, you can't qualify necessarily for a $10,000 loan sight unseen. You don't get squat. These guys next to me are living on a fixed income and probably hanging in there. The guy next to me is homeless. His name is Ed, and he doesn't have a place to live, folks. And Carl gets a double check because he and his wife have special needs. And they're surviving, but barely. This is the deal. So America is not prospering. America is not even helping Americans. We're turning a blind eye to Americans. I believe in the social welfare system to a certain degree, but I certainly don't want to manipulate it so that I get reelected. That's the wrong way to look at this whole thing. Sunstar is on a fixed income as well. She's in our Vaughn chat room. Thank you. Yeah, well, Crazy Rhubarb Lady says illegals enjoy shoveling crap. I actually use the S word, but I'm not going to repeat it on our show. Well, the fact is, we don't need all this crap. You know how much food is wasted in the markets? Seriously. 50% of the produce that arrives at your market is thrown in the garbage. It isn't even sent to food banks. It's thrown in the garbage. So why are you so worried about illegals coming in here to pick the garbage that's going in the garbage? I think we could let go with the illegal population and hire people legally and properly give them necessary treatment. Workers need rights. And when you're an illegal, you don't get any rights at all. You don't get any benefits. In fact, Cesar Chavez in California was very vocal about this, the late Cesar Chavez, and he showed how people working in the fields of strawberries in California were being sprayed with pesticides on their heads. They literally were working in the fields and being sprayed. The family was. And then they got all these ancillary effects on their body, things that happen when you breathe pesticides. You get respiratory disorders, you get problems with your organs. And Cesar Chavez brought that to a head. Did anything change? No. The illegals are still not getting help. Yes, they continue to spray DDT, Snorks, over at Battlecam. Yes. DDT is still sprayed on these illegals. So we are being violated socially. And then they've got all these laws that are allowing same-sex marriage in multiple states. I don't have a problem with same-sex marriage in multiple states. I understand that don't ask, don't tell needs to be relaxed. We need to, but we certainly don't want exploitation. Last year alone, 26,000 reports of molestation in our military. You can imagine how horrible it is to go to the military and then be held down by your fellow recruits and sodomized. Can you only imagine how that feels? I don't even want to go there. But that's what's going on in our military. No toilets either. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, this is crazy. So we're unleashing a social nightmare, and we seem to have no control whatsoever as a nation to find a moral direction. Well, I can tell you, I'm not a religious guy. I'm not a social conservative. I'm a fiscal conservative and a social liberal. And I can tell you, this country is not going to survive if we just go willy-nilly and let everything just fly off the cuff. We've got to get some semblance of order here, and we've got to figure out where we're going. Now, granted, people in the military need to actually work regardless of their sexual preference. I got that. But we need to make sure that we still have strong fighting forces in the front line. We have to make sure that we have good, solid teams to defend our nation against an attack. But should we be exploited and sent to foreign wars? No, that's ridiculous. I don't believe in a draft, unless, of course, we were attacked. Our nation needs to get clear on that. We cannot keep being exploited by money masters that are manipulating us into more war. So the social issues that are abounding in America right now, immigration, same-sex marriage, and a lot of people on the right with pro-life feel like their voice isn't even heard. These are social issues that are fomenting a problem. I want to help resolve those problems. I want to come to some common agreement on many of these issues that make sense for everybody. I don't want to make it so that women can't have the right to choose. I think they're going to need to have the right to choose to avoid back alley abortion clinics. But I certainly don't want women exploited in any way. Similarly, if we allow excessive use of stem cell research on embryonic tissue, we're going to see baby mills being producing babies and putting in blenders and sent to factories where they test the. Yet we can't ignore the positive results of stem cell research. We can't ignore that. So it's kind of a middle centrist position we have on almost every issue. And now I'm going to get to capital punishment because that's important. Capital punishment, in my opinion, is a state issue. And then when it is a federal issue, I believe in capital punishment. So every state can decide based on their individual state whether they want it or not. Right now, 18 states don't want capital punishment laws. Some states recently, like Connecticut, overturned their capital punishment laws. Governor Malloy has openly Governor Malloy has openly. Hang on just a second. Okay. Got to ban somebody. Somebody came in and said something that was ridiculous. Yeah, he's gone in favor of no capital punishment in Connecticut. So now the two guys that ended up killing, raping, torturing Dr. Pettit's daughters and wife, they get to live a nice cush life in a full security prison. Maybe they even then get out on parole possibilities. So you've got really weak governors in certain states that don't care about capital punishment. I believe the precedent at the federal level needs to be set, and I support a capital punishment law that involves DNA evidence incriminating cases only. Only when DNA evidence is present. Only when DNA evidence is present would we allow that. So if there is no DNA evidence in the case, like Scott Peterson case, if that was a federal crime, it was basically a third degree manslaughter case. They got on him and they jailed him without any evidence at all. We wouldn't be able to use the death penalty in those situations. So Carl's burning up. He's having a nuclear flare. Hey, I want to talk about some issues that are really important right now, like the Fukushima situation. There's nothing we can do about it. But we've got a president right now that is stopping testing of radiation on the western seaboard. Even Democrats are telling me this is outrageous. This guy doesn't even know what he's doing. We need to know how bad Fukushima is. And just 2 days ago, they declared that the levees had burst from all the water that was used to cool down the reactors. That's a serious problem. We are getting radiation excesses in the Pacific Ocean. It's drifting into our food. Tuna is affected. Whether it has long-term effects on our personal bodies, I can't really give you definitive answers. At the levels they're at, I think they are dangerous. Japan will definitely suffer F-13. Yes, Japan is going to suffer big time because there's no way of escaping it. We're far enough away that we'll mitigate the causes and the effects of the radiation exposure. But right now, we're still in a need to know basis. America needs to know. We need to certainly take preparations and prepare. I believe in a civil defense system, actually, for our country. I believe that we could build backbones of civil defense, regional food supplies, and be a little bit more prepared than we are right now for any kind of a nuclear incident, whether it's a dirty bomb or anything. But seriously, Fukushima is definitely a problem, and we need to get more aggressive with the Japanese government. They should have covered it up with dirt, like Chernobyl. They should have capped it off. They're building a new dome for Chernobyl right now, but they should have done that, and they didn't. Anyway, we are going to be looking at a lot of problems coming up. I think the biggest issue I've been talking about the past few days is how the 19 embassies that have been closed around the world is really a smokescreen for what the CIA doesn't want you to ask, which is, why were you on the ground when Chris Stevens died? Supposedly, the word is 31 CIA agents were on the ground in and around the Benghazi attack. Why aren't they speaking, or why is the CIA lie detector testing them every week to make sure they don't talk to the press? There's a lot of things we need to get to. So all these issues are hot on the platter. We're going to talk about them. We're going to discuss them every single night. We are doing these shows 6 to 9 p.m. every weeknight. And if you're watching this in recording, do check out our live show and participate in the chat. Thank you very much.